Hey, I'm Enda Murray. I'm the director of the Irish Film Festival. I'm delighted to be joined tonight by Angeline from Deadly Cuts. Angeline, you're very welcome to Australia this evening.
Thank you so much, Enda. I'm so excited to be somehow there with everybody at the festival. So thank you.
Um, I know when I saw Deadly Cuts, I thought this is going to be a very, very popular film in Australia. And we're now in lockdown, and people have not been able to go home for at least 18 months. And I think they're really going to love Deadly Cuts. They're going to love the humour and the film. So thanks a million for getting it together, and congratulations on your role there.
Thank you so much. When I read the script, the director, Rachel Carey, wrote and directed it. And when I read the script, she'd written me a letter and said, I kind of wrote this with you in mind. And of course you're flattered as an actor, and when I read it, I thought, I cannot not do this role. This role I absolutely want, it just, the humor, exactly what you said, the humor leapt from the pages, the little hidden, not the hidden message, but the message beneath all that as well. Like, I'm from a working class area in Dublin, and you do see, little pockets of Dublin being gentrified and disappearing. And with that, the kind of Dublin, the Dublinisms, the Dublin characters, and I think that it's a really important little message there. I mean, there's always, when they built Dublin, especially like in the 60s or 70s, they did these little shopping centres for people to kind of have somewhere to go, these huge estates, the satellite kind of estates surrounding Dublin. And they always had these little places with the hairdressers, the butchers, the whatever. And I guess as, Dublin is becoming more cosmopolitanized, these places are disappearing. There's a Costa there instead, or a Starbucks. And the message is that, when you take away these little places, you take away people's livelihoods, but also that you can kind of take away a bit of the spirit of the community.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us, how do you go about getting a part like this? You said Rachel wasn't, she contacted you.
Yeah, I was, and it doesn't happen all the time, I'm being honest. Like, I was honored to be offered the role. But having said that, there's times when I have to go for parts and I have to work very hard at auditions, etc. And then you're whittled down to the last two or three, and you get so close sometimes, then you don't get it. But in this instance, I was offered it, and so that took the pressure off me in that way. But if I hadn't have been offered it, by God, I would have been first in the queue to try and go up for it. Yeah, and I just felt that I knew Michelle. I kind of fundamentally knew her because coming from an area like Cabra in Dublin, I know these kind of strong women characters that kind of hold everything. And again, it's really, the film is a message about the women and how strong they can be, and how, don't underestimate them, whatever you do, because you might get a nasty surprise. But yeah, and I just felt that there's a great kind of mixture between young and old and the whole community, really.
Yep. I was going to ask you that. What was it like to work with that ensemble cast of women in the hairdressers? It must have. Was that a good
Yeah,
experience?
I mean, because you go from kind of seasoned actors, I don't mean to be, is that the right word to use? But you go from very, very experienced actors like Jane Brennan, and, all of these, older actresses that would have been I would have looked up to when I was younger and starting in the business, to myself. I've kind of placed myself in the middle, to all these younger, I call them kids. But they're wonderful, wonderful actors, and the energy they brought. And I have to say, there was so many outtakes and there was so much laughing going on. It was a very quick shoot. It's a small budget, but when you have that kind of I think not necessarily pressure, but the fact that everybody loved the script, everybody was on the same page, everybody was on board. You absolutely give it socks and give it welly and give it 100% to want it to work, you know, and also to keep it as true to itself as possible, you know.
What kind of preparation would you have done for Michelle? You wouldn't have needed a voice coach.
No, certainly not. But at the same time, I didn't want to patronize her in any way.
Yeah.
There was a thing in Ireland at the time my sister had pointed out to me, and it was called the salon. And it was a kind of a bird's eye view of a salon, you know, how a salon works during the day. And I think, you know, one of the leading ladies in it looked fabulous with all these blonde hair extensions and eyelashes and nails. And I looked at her and I thought, that's the look. That's what I want. I mean, it's not too far off my own, you know, but to make it, you know, quite glam, because they have access to all these hair extensions and makeup. And I think with Michelle, she's very proud, a very, very proud lady. She's got no kids, no family as such. So she has time to spend on herself and, you know, make herself look well. And also she's the manager and owner, you know, so she has a certain kind of, you know, image to keep up there, you know?
Yeah.
So in preparation, of course, I'd read the script a few times. Rachel Carey, the director, had brought us into a salon that she went to have her nails done. That was just off Thomas Street in Dublin, Mead Street, the heart of Dublin. And yes. I tell you, the women there are the most amazing women I've met. I'm still friends with them. They're just gorgeous, gorgeous, you know, heart of gold. Women, and I spent some time with them. Although, you know, to be honest with you, I didn't really need to, because coming from Cabra, my mother used to probably bring me up to Thomas Street every Saturday and stuff. It wasn't that far off. It's kind of part in me, in my blood, really, you know?
Yeah. She did mention that in her director's statement about the scenario that she had seen in a salon in Meath Street, which was part of the inspiration for her.
Pit, by the way, if anybody wants to go and visit it, if they're in Dublin, it's called the Glamour Pit.
Wow. What were there any memorable moments in shooting? Thinking back to the shoot.
There was a lot, and I mean, especially when we're laughing, but without wanting to give away the plot, I can't really say, but there was one incident where we couldn't stop laughing. We really couldn't stop laughing, and we were kind of told, and it's quite a kind of graphic bit that's not very nice, you know, and we're supposed to laugh, but we were laughing so much that we couldn't stop laughing, because the continuity lady, who was from South Africa, was asked to say some of the lines, and some made up lines that were, should we say, bordering on the crudish side. So that got us really rollicking, and then we were told, okay. And even, you know, to be honest with you, there was times when the director and the cameraman were laughing, and we were all laughing. And the first director on the floor was the only one who was trying to keep us together and corral us into doing some work, you know, because you can imagine with the short shoot, you've got a lot of pages to get through in a day. There was just some great moments, and also with the three ladies that were, you know, my ladies in the salon. That's Erica Rowe, Shauna Higgins, and Lauren Larkin. They were just gorgeous and just perfect to get on with, and lovely, lovely girls. You know, it really helps, I think, that there's no ego on the set, and there's nobody just bringing a slightly different energy. It's for me, that kind of, it mars everything else around it. So the energy was great in the film, and I think it shows,
yeah,
you know, when you watch it.
Definitely. So, rolling back, you got your big break with the Commitments, which was a film about working class Dublin, and now you're back making a film about working class Dublin. You know, how does it how does it feel? Do you notice, or Yeah, how does it feel coming back again? You know, 30 years later or whatever, and you know, do you know, because you're in London, based in London now, and you know, what changes would you see in Dublin?
I think, you know, when you look back at the commitments, I think it's even though it's kind of urban decay and it looked so poor when you look at it. You look, oh my God, you know, but there's places in that film and they're gone now. And you know, it had a kind of romanticism to it, I think, when you look back at it, and like that everybody was on the dole or nobody was working and we all were just trying to kind of keep it together. And then to cut to the kind of in Deadly Cuts, it's become slightly more, I would say, a bit more aggressive in the sense that people are trying to get on more, and because they've had some money and the Celtic Tiger and all, it's those who have not who are trying to make do. But then when the Celtic Tiger came and all that, and then it's gone back, there's a kind of urgency at times to get something, you know, for nothing or whatever, you know, and when you see these costas and hotels and all that, it's kind of destroy the heart of it and make it better. When sometimes really you have to kind of step back and look at the fact that maybe you already have it good, maybe it already is better, you know. I certainly think in terms of the language, like I always say to Rachel Carey, she's such a beautiful woman, and she's so elegant physically that some of the language and some of the scenes that she's put in, the, you know, the lines in the script, I'm like, oh my God! I mean, it goes against my very nature, you know. But I think she's keeping with the times and with people with social media and all that. The language is slightly changed in Dublin, um, and it's become slightly faster paced. You know, people are in that more immediate, wanting more, and dare I say that snowflake kind of, you know, mentality. But, you know, again, the message in the film is that, you know, people that older ladies, you know, can be kind of sometimes brushed off as being not important or anything. And, you know, there's a line in the film is first rule of Piglinstown is don't piss off the owl ones, you know? So it does, it's kind of bringing back, and it's inclusive, which I think is great because again, with all these satellite towns outside of Dublin and with Instagram and all that, people don't very much, they don't need to kind of communicate that much anymore through dialogue when they can do it on the apps or the iPhones or the computer, you know?
Yeah,
I think with the hairdressing, it's a real hub of where people can go not only to get their hair done, but it's where news is, you know, passed along, gossip. It's a little bit of a, you know, they sometimes say hairdressers are like psychologists, you know, or psychotherapy. People come and they talk, or they know about people like so and so's got divorced, or, you know, this girl's got a new boyfriend, you know. So it's a little kind of hive of information, I think.
yeah. What was it like working with the ensemble cast of the women in the film?
Wonderful, really great. Again, I would have to kind of put it down to their professionalism and the fact that nobody was pulling rank, you know,
Yeah,
nobody was in any way making any shapes, you know. We all knew what we had to do. We all knew our individual characters so well. We all knew the job and we got along and did it. And we got along great because, you know, in film, there's a lot of hanging around. And, you know, let's put it this way, because it was a low budget, there wasn't great Winnebagos or, you know, caravans you could go and retire to. We basically were sometimes in like what would be a shed. Sorry, this is my computer. We were basically what would be considered to be like a one room, all sitting on couches facing each other. There was no getting away from each other. So God loves the person who didn't like it, you know. So we got on. It was really sometimes even the laugh offset that should be another film, you know. So yeah, I think it was, and you know, watching. I always feel that when you're acting anyway, watching other people at work is amazing, and you learn. You know, you never go home not learning something. You know, watching somebody else do it and encouraging somebody to do the best they can in their part. It's not about sabotaging anybody, you know?
Yeah. So I mentioned commitments a while back. We have a bump along the way, which is Brona Gallagher's film in the festival as well. Would you keep in touch with any of those guys, or are you still in contact with them?
Well, because I live in London, I'm not that much, I don't see them that much. But again, this is where kind of WhatsApp and Zoom or whatever would work. You know, technology is that we do keep in touch, you know, from time to time. But having said that, you know, I don't know many people who've, you know, kept in touch with people they worked with
No.
30 years ago. And it's only on a small scale. It wasn't as if we worked together for 5 years in an office, you know. It's very
Yeah.
immediate film, and it's almost like running away with the circus. You know, you run away with this band of people and you do this amazing thing and you have a great experience, and then you might have a month off, and then you have to do the whole thing again with a totally different group of people. The only person that stays the same is you know? So yeah, it's tough to keep in touch. But there are kind of, we talk about kind of breakthrough friendships that you keep. And yeah, certainly I just spoke to Bron actually the other day, but yeah, it's an odd thing when you're asked, because I find that it's, you know, and as you go through life, you move, you know, you don't necessarily keep in touch with even friends that you had 30 years ago.
Yes, true. Yeah. So, how has your work been affected by the pandemic? Have you managed to keep going with it?
Well, obviously, the Deadly Cuts, we just had finished Deadly Cuts in 2019, just before the pandemic, and that was due to kind of be edited and cut February, March, and then going to the Galway Film Festival, I think. Oh, sorry, I'll start that again. Well, obviously, 2019 was when we had made Deadly Cuts, and it was due to be edited, etc., and cut for the Galway Film Festival around April, May. And that all got, you know, kind of put on hold. So as far as, you know, Deadly Cuts was concerned, yes, there's been a huge delay in getting it out there. But I think the good thing about this film is that it's kind of ageless in a way. It wouldn't matter what year it comes out, because it's very, very current. For me as well, I've just finished a job, and then I had a kind of a year, 2020, for everybody, I think. I was, you know, isolating like everybody else, and I was, you know, at home, my children were off school. So that was just, I had to do what everybody else did, you know, and you don't work. And in my industry, it can be devastating for some actors because this is our living, you know. And then I think with the film industry, they really tried to get it up and running. So I was lucky enough to start working again last March, the end of March, just this year, on a drama, a 6-part drama called Hidden Assets. And that's coming out on RTE in Belgium as well, and on Acorn TV in Canada. So hopefully you'll get it eventually in Australia. It's a spin-off to a series that I did called Acceptable Risk, where I play a cop. So put it this way, I'm on one side of the law in Deadly Cuts, and I'm on the other in Hidden Assets. Yeah. And what we did was I had to fly. I spent 2.5 months in Belgium, and Belgium was still in kind of lockdown. So I had to fly, I had to do all of that paperwork, the PCR. We're not exempt, being actors, from anything. I had to do so many tests before I went on the Eurostar, then tests when I got back there. I had to quarantine for 10 days, which is kind of, it was tough because you're on your own in an apartment in an unknown city. And then they started to kind of get the ball rolling with the production. All of the crew had to wear masks all day. The actors wore masks, and when they came to filming, they didn't wear the masks. We were PCR tested every week, and we just prayed that not one person would go down, because if one person goes down, the whole production has to shut down, and that's a lot of money. And it's also for me with timing because I was away from my children for nearly 10 weeks in Antwerp. I couldn't get back because of the in and out the quarantine. So that was kind of, it was tough, but I did it. And then I saw them for 10 days. And then I had to go to Ireland for the latter end of the production for a month. So, yeah, I think the COVID has affected me not only work wise, but emotionally as well. If you have to go to work and can't see your family, that's very difficult, you know,
Yeah,
and your family
yeah.
can't see you. But I've done it and I've just finished that, and that's due to come out in November, as I said. But again, it's very interesting for me to play these roles, like either end of the spectrum, being a really kind of 100% on it cop that she's not in any way crooked, going after the bad guys, and then being Michelle and without giving the plot away in Deadly Cuts. So yeah.
Well, thanks a million, Angeline. We're running out of time. We're going to screen or in the festival the whole way across Australia, the vast country, and I think it will bring a lot of joy for particularly the Irish community who haven't been able to get back home for the last 18 months and still in lockdown, and it's a great thing that you can do to bring that joy to people. It's a wonderful thing.
Thank you. And I really hope that everybody stays safe in Australia, and that soon you'll be able to move around and get home. So we're just bringing a little bit of working class Dublin back to you guys. So enjoy it. And thank you very much for having me. And hopefully one day I'll make it out to the festival.
Oh, that'll be great. Thanks a million, Angeline. Slán agus beannacht. All the best.